You're watching this video because you are wondering, can you cancel your real estate contract? Otra vez? Sorry. Hey, so you're watching this video because you are wondering, can I cancel my real estate contract? I guess the real question is, can you cancel it without losing your deposit, right? Because you have to put a deposit up front. Now, if you're watching this video, it is probably because one, you are under contract, curious if you can get out, or two, you're just thinking about buying a house and you want to be informed. You want to learn a little bit about what it is to expect, right? So I'm going to make it brief, short and sweet. Sweet like candy cane, deep up in a, sorry, I got caught in the music, I apologize. So I'm going to make it nice and simple for you. So basically, you can cancel your real estate contract. I guess the answer is yes, you can cancel it, but you risk losing your deposit. Now, at what point would it mean you're not risking losing your deposit? And I'm not an attorney. I'm not a real estate attorney. I'm not an attorney whatsoever. So this is not legal advice. What I'm providing to you is my knowledge and what I know about the real estate contract. So I know the contracts and I know the contingencies in the contract as well. And I'm gonna go over those because the contingencies are basically your way out, right? What are your ways out of the contract without risking losing your deposit? Now, every single contract is different. So before we get started, I'm just gonna go over the three main contingencies. I wanna make that clear. But if you have any detailed questions, you might have to ask your attorney who's helping you during the transaction. If you're working with a title company or if you're working with an attorney as a seller, ask them if they have any information on the details associated with your contract because every contract's different. Now, what I'm basing my knowledge on is on the FARBAR As Is contract in the state of Florida. Now, the three contingencies, I'm gonna make it nice and simple. The first is the most important, the inspection period. Get your magnifying glass, start looking. You hire inspectors to come out to go to the property, do your due diligence, make sure there's not a leak in the roof, check out under in the crawl space if there is one, check the appliances, right? And then that's your time to do any homework that you want to do on the property. Maybe you know of certain things and issues, you want to find more info out. During the inspection period, here in Florida, the As Is contract, you can cancel for whatever reason during the time frame. Now, generally speaking, here in the deals that I do, the average time is around 10 days. But it can be between 7 to 15, maybe even more, depending on the property. Let's say your inspection period is 10 days, right? That's your time to do all the homework you want on the property. And if you don't feel comfortable with the purchase, you can cancel and you get that deposit back. What if you pass the inspection period? Then that leads to the second contingency for you to be aware of, which is the financing contingency. Here, the financing contingency, generally I've seen 30 days. That's the norm. And during that, basically, to make it nice and sweet for you, financing contingency is basically for the benefit of the buyer to make sure they qualify. But not only the buyer, but the property has to qualify too, because maybe if it's a condo, the condo has to have a certain amount in reserves, or if it's a house, you need to be able to get insurance, and what if there's a leak in the roof and you can't get insurance, right? So both the buyer and the property have to qualify during the financing contingency, right? Now, if during that period you don't qualify, maybe you lost your job, maybe you ended up buying a car with $1,000 payment monthly, and that affected how much you could afford in terms of a house, then you didn't qualify. As long as it's within that financing contingency, you shouldn't have a problem. But again, consult with your attorney. That's the financing contingency. What's also built into the financing contingency is the appraisal contingency. Now, if you don't know, an appraisal basically is when the bank tries to get the value, wants to know the value of the home. They want to make sure that they're not giving you a loan on an overpriced property, because if you default, they want to be able to sell that property and get their money back. A third party is hired to do an appraisal. Okay, and that appraisal is done to get a valuation of the property. Now, if the value of the property comes in for lower than your purchase price, right? Let's say you're under contract for $1 million and the appraisal comes in at $900,000, that $100,000 gap, you're probably gonna have to come up with that as the buyer, because the bank is only going to be able or willing to loan you on that $900,000, right? So that $100,000, you could ask the seller to negotiate, or you're gonna have to come up with that $100,000 on top, or you can cancel the deal because it's built into the financing contingency in the As Is contract in the state of Florida, the FARBAR, the most recent one. Okay, so that's the financing contingency. Third contingency for you to be aware of is basically the title commitment deadline. So that's basically to make sure that you're getting free and clear title, right? There's no clouds on title. That's like the fun words that they use. It's not a cloudy day for the title. No, it's not going funny. It's just to make sure that you're not getting a property filled with hundreds of thousands of violations from the city, or to make sure that there's no open or expired permits, or to make sure that there's no liens on the property from maybe somebody who did work on the house and then the seller never paid them and now they have a lien, right? That's just to make sure that you're getting the property free and clear, right? Now, if there is a cloud on title, if there's any liens or any issues, then at that point, the seller would have to cure it. And if they can't cure it, then you as the buyer, you could back out of the deal and get your deposit back. As a buyer, again, the contracts are different. Depends if you're buying a condo, you have to get approved by the condo. If you have a post-closing occupancy, you have to come to an agreement on that occupancy within a certain time frame. There's so many different contingencies that could be built into the contract. That's why I say every single contract is different. So those are the three main contingencies for you to be aware of, but please, if you are working on a certain deal or a certain property or whatever, speak with your realtor, which I hope would be me, or speak with your attorney, because that attorney is going to know the ins and outs, okay? I am here to present the contract that I know, but the attorneys are here to provide you legal advice. So those are the three main contingencies for you to know about. And I hope it kind of answered your question. Can you cancel your real estate contract? I guess technically you can, but it all depends, right? And I know that you don't love that answer, but my advice to you would be get knowledgeable, ask the people that are around you. There's a lot of people that you can ask, okay? If you have any questions whatsoever, anything real estate related, or if you're looking for a house down here in South Florida or anywhere, shoot me an email, youtube@jonathanmvega.com. Thank you for watching this video. Please comment down below what you thought. And if you have any other ideas for videos, I'd love to hear it. See you in the next video. Yeah.